What is going on, investors? My name is Emmanuel, and HCMC shareholders Philip Morris have submitted an official reply. Now, straight off the bat, I want to apologize because normally, whenever there's any news regarding HCMC or any filings, within minutes, I bring you the information, I bring you the news. But the last time I did that, it was after HCMC filed their own reply, which was quite lengthy. And to be honest, I didn't have enough time to get through the whole entire document. And I felt like the information that I provided in that video didn't give that much value. I kind of just read things without explaining anything. So I apologize for that. And hopefully this video should bring you a bit more value. Now, straight off the bat, I want to make a few things clear. I am not a legal expert. Okay, like I said, my speciality is within the health sector. I'm an MRI technician by career and by profession, and I'm also a business person. So I have no legal experience. I am reading through these documents and just trying to make educational guesses as we go along. And hopefully you're doing the same. And also, I do want to shout out WS in my Discord. You're a top guy. Thank you for the plug, bro. Now, back to the subject at hand, okay? So I have been through this document twice. I've made a few notes, which I will point out to you. But as well as the reply, we did get some press coverage earlier this week. On the 15th of April, Microcap Daily released this article headlined Healthier Choices Management Corp. A powerful comeback brewing as PMI patent infringement lawsuit moves forward, okay? And I believe this had a positive impact on the share price because looking at where we are, I mean, we've pretty much been flat for weeks since the 3rd of March. This support line has held up reasonably well, surprisingly well, and we haven't really done much in terms of share price action. I think people are getting bored of the stock. You can see there's been pretty much hardly any activity throughout most of March, throughout most of April, and all of a sudden yesterday we saw a 37% move. So that was on the 16th of April, which is literally a day after this article was published. So in combination with that and people knowing that Philip Morris are due a reply, I think that's what gave us a bit of excitement in the share price, which is why we saw a 37% move. So before we do a deep dive into Philip Morris's reply, if you don't mind, smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date with all of my latest video content. However, if you do also want to be a part of an investing community where we talk all things stocks, you need to join my Discord group, and we have a dedicated HCMC channel where we all share our thoughts and our ideas. It'll be great to have you, and you can do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description below. So with that said, let's dive into it. Okay, so as you can see, this was filed on April the 16th, 2021. And it's the same layout that we've seen in previous filings. So we're just going to jump straight into their introduction. Now, the introduction is nothing we've not seen before personally. You've got Philip Morris saying that HCMC's complaint should be dismissed because it is premised on a wholly implausible allegation that is contradicted by the sole evidence plaintiff relies on to support it. The complaint is implausible on its face and should be dismissed. So essentially, Philip Morris are coming out, they're sticking to the same script that they've used in prior filings, no obvious changes to their counter argument, and they are advising the court to just dismiss this case. It is dead. They continue to dismiss and discredit HCMC's complaint. HCMC's opposition does not meaningfully address any of this, again referring to the combustion, okay? HCMC hides behind a procedural posture and a non-existent claim construction dispute in an attempt to convince the court to let its case get to discovery. The court should decline imposing that burden on parties, okay? I've also highlighted it should not be given the opportunity to use the judicial process as leverage to extract a nuanced settlement. This case should end now. So I've annotated here that Philip Morris, it sounds like they're inferring that HCMC are just wasting court time. They haven't provided any substantial evidence, and this case should be thrown out. And essentially calling HCMC opportunists, and they should stop wasting court time. That's my interpretation of the introduction. Remember, I am not a legal expert, but that's what I gather from reading the introduction. Now, this whole segment here, I don't think it was worth highlighting anything. It's essentially Philip Morris going through the dynamics and attempting to justify that HCMC's claims are not feasible. Oh, I made a mistake there. I said, is it feasible? It's pretty much saying their argument is not feasible, doesn't make sense, doesn't add up, okay? Now, they also referenced a few cases in the past to justify their argument, and we're going to see a lot of that later on in the document. But essentially, for this part, they concluded that instead, HCMC's attempts to manufacture ambiguity on the law and the facts where none exist, okay? Now, So Philip Morris continues to make more arguments for this case to be thrown out. It says HCMC relies on outdated pleading standards and bad law. Okay, so now this is getting quite personal. So they gave the court and probably the readers, you and I, the 5 conditions to state a claim for patent infringement. And it said, first of all, you need an allegation of jurisdiction. Second is a statement that the plaintiff owns the patent. Third is a statement that the defendants have been infringing the patent by making, selling, and using the device embodying the patent. The fourth is a statement that the plaintiff has given the defendants notice of its infringement. And fifth is a demand for an injunction and damages. So I found that quite an interesting read. I annotated here saying interesting read. But these examples here makes me wonder, does HCMC's claim fall into any of these examples? And I think out of the 5 options they've given, I think number 3 is applicable to HCMC, which is a statement that the defendant has been infringing the patent by making, selling, and using the device embodying the patent. I think this is most applicable to HCMC in this case, all right? Now, further down the document, HCMC are bringing up previous law cases and stating that these are outdated practices. Form 18, however, has been gone for years, and cases that rely on it for the proposition from the standards applicable to all civil litigations are bad law. And they go on to say that decisions based on Form 18 are no longer good law. Now, reading that, I felt like that was a bit of a jab at the courts, okay? So kind of telling them, don't try these games, don't try these tactics, don't try the Form 18 tactics. It's not going to work. That's what I gathered from it anyways. So here I've annotated that sounds like Philip Morris are standing their ground and stating that HCMC hasn't got a leg to stand on by the sounds of things. And I reached that conclusion from this statement here. A second error of law pervades HCMC's opposition, the notion that in order to prevail on their motion to dismiss, defendants must establish to a metaphysical certainty that there is no factual scenario in which combustions can ever occur. There is nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to resurrect the no set of facts test from pleading sufficiency. And again, they reference previous cases back from 1957. So the lawyers that Philip Morris have used, they know their history. They know their history. Again, I'm not sure whether this is common practice, but it takes me back to when I was in college. If you wanted to get a distinction in your essays or your assignments, you have to use previous cases and then give references. So this just kind of reminds me of school and college days, to be honest. As HCMC's opposition confirms, such a mere possibility of combustion is the most that even HCMC understands the complaints to convey. That is insufficient as a matter of law. It sounds like they're outright dismissing their claims and using historical cases to back up their arguments. Now, this whole segment here is pretty much Philip Morris regurgitating arguments made in the previous clapbacks. It's a bit of slang there. Sorry, I should have used more professional language. But pretty much regurgitating the same arguments. Central to HCMC's theory is a demonstrably false assumption that there is no explanation other than combustion for the presence of trace amounts of nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide. Okay, in other words, the 97% reduction in gases associated with the combustion occurs because there is no combustion. So at this point, when I was reading through the document, I made a note here. Why doesn't the court just get an unbiased expert scientist to come in to present before the court to either prove or disprove their claims? Because this is getting long, all right? This is getting long-winded. I said to my Discord this morning that it feels like 2 children in the playground going back and forth, playing the blame game that he did that, no, she did that, he did that. It's getting a bit boring, all right? Reading this, it's getting a bit boring, to be honest. And it's just starting to feel like 2 kids just get along, just be friends, all right? Just be friends. Now, the rest of the document, again, is Philip Morris presenting examples of similar cases and the resultant outcomes, pretty much in an attempt to justify their arguments and justify their claims. And they summarize the section by saying HCMC's pleading lacks the factual content as opposed to conclusory allegations that would permit a court to draw the reasonable inference that defendants are liable for infringement. In other words, saying HCMC are full of smoke, okay? They're blowing up smoke. Now, the next part is them again continuing to take digs. HCMC's claim construction argument is a red herring. HCMC has failed to identify an actual claim construction dispute. And again, it's the same old story, more reference to previous cases to back up their arguments, nothing new. I didn't find anything exciting in this section here. HCMC fails to sufficiently plead indirect patent infringement. Now, this is them pretty much just rounding up, okay? HCMC's opposition does nothing to meaningfully rebut defendants' independence arguments for dismissal of HCMC's indirect infringement allegation. Indeed, HCMC does little more than restates the deficient allegation in the complaint. HCMC points to no factual allegation in its complaint. Again, more arguments that HCMC fails to sufficiently plead indirect patent infringement. And then we reach the conclusion that the defendants respectfully request that the courts grant defendants Rule 12b-6 motion and dismiss plaintiff's claims with prejudice. So that sums up Philip Morris's reply. They are pretty much asking the court to just do away with this nonsense. Now, my thoughts reading this, I do feel like Philip Morris's reply was a lot stronger than HCMC's reply. I found Philip Morris's reply a bit easier to read, if I'm being completely honest. And I do like the fact that they reference many cases in the past, I mean, dating back to 1957. And I feel like their reply carried a bit more merit. Now, HCMC, of course, are going to have to reply to Philip Morris again. Like I said, it's like two children going back and forth. No, he said that, she said this, he did that, he did this. And I just want this done. You know what I'm saying? And it's just getting a bit long-winded now. Like I've said in my previous videos, this can probably go in for a couple more years. And the only thing you can do is either sell your position or continue holding and just following the case. Now, I've made my position in HCMC very clear. I purchased 2 million shares very early on. The stock price, as we knew, shot up like crazy. I took out my initial investment and all I have left in the stock is pretty much house money. And I'm prepared to just hold the house money just in case HCMC wins. But it's shaping up to be a very long-term hold. But like I said, I have no risk involved in the stock and I'm happy to hold. All right, I'm happy to hold. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Philip Morris's reply. Do you think HCMC has a leg to stand on? Do you think Philip Morris's reply was very strong? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section below. But before you go, if you gained some value from this video, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to see more content from me. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.